Okay, this game I played against my King Master chess computer. It was played on level 72, which is out of 73 levels, and it's basically the hardest level you can play it on. Because level 73 basically takes infinite amount of time to move, so level 72 the game will still move on its own. So this is pretty much the hardest level you can play this computer on. I was white this time, and this I have to say is probably the best game that I've ever played, and certainly the hardest computer level that I've ever beat. Now, if we start out here, we'll see my move, which is typical e4. He decides to go with e6, which I feel is a weak opening. It's the French opening, but I never like e6 as a response to e4. I decided to go with f4, which is not all that common, but because he did a weak opening and he didn't go to e5, I decided to challenge that and start to try to dominate the center if at all possible. He moves his d-pawn. I take it. He takes it back. And then I move my pawn to d4. And you can see that we both pretty much have an equal hold in the center. I obviously have my f-pawn out there, but that's helping to control the e5 square, which is a good position to have. He puts me in check with his bishop. Now, whenever this happens, I like to develop my bishop because you'll see what happens. He takes it, and I take it with my queen. Now, he's moved his bishop, developed one bishop, but I've developed a bishop and a queen. So I've developed two pieces for one, essentially. So I think that's advantageous. He begins to move his knight out. I move my knight out. He castles. I decide to go ahead and castle queenside here. Since he just castled, and because I still have my bishop and knight over here, and my f-pawn's moved, I really can't kingside castle now. Moves his knights out. I definitely don't want him to get a foothold here on b4 with his knight, so I went ahead and preempted that and moved my a-pawn. Moves his bishop out to f5, which he's really just trying to develop it. He doesn't have much of a tactical move there. Bring my knight out. And you'll notice how I chose to move my knight to e2 as opposed to f3, because now it can help to defend both of my pawns out here. It did trap in my bishop, but I would rather do it that way. He brings his queen out. Or just up a square, really. Now I move my knight over, and now I'm threatening his bishop here. He moves his bishop down another square to g4, but he could have actually put it there to begin with, so he's essentially wasted a move by doing that. And he's threatening my rook, but that's easily addressed here. I've pretty much forced an exchange on that. Takes it. I take it back with my knight. So now my knight is back where I originally had it, but now my bishop's no longer trapped. So that's pretty good for me. Interesting move by him. He goes to g6. Not really sure why he did that, since he doesn't have a bishop over there that he can fianchetto. So not sure why, but I'm sure he's got reasons. And I'm move my pawn. He moves his rook over. Now he's got a queen and a rook doubled up here on the e-file. I have to protect e2, my knight on e2, so now I move my rook over. Now this is kind of an interesting move. He brings his queen down here to e3. Now, these are always things to look at. I have the option of capturing his queen, or letting him capture my queen, or avoiding the exchange altogether. Now, if I capture his queen, he's going to obviously recapture back with his rook. Now his rook's down in my territory. His next move will easily be to put his other rook there on e8, and now he's got his rooks doubled up, and I'll never be able to really stop that. So I'm not going to let him do that. I'm not going to play into it. I'm not going to accept his exchange. If he wants to do it, he'll have to force the issue. So I just move my rook over, again, to protect my f-pawn. He takes the queen exchange, which is fine, because now we've swapped queens, and whenever the queens are no longer part of the equation, you want to start to prepare for the endgame, and you want to try to get your king into an offensive position by bringing him into the center of the board. So now I've done two things. I've exchanged queens, and I've sort of developed my king, if you will, and recaptured back. So that's good for me. Now he brings his knight down to a pretty powerful square. It's there on e4, but as you can see, I could take it easily with my knight. However, I don't want to do that because that's going to give him a chance to advance either his pawn or his rook, and I'm not going to play into that plan. So if he wants an exchange, he's going to have to force the issue. And you'll see I just moved my king up, and I'm even closer to the center. And now my king's actually acting as an offensive player. He can't actually take that knight, but should things change here, he's going to be able to be an offensive weapon for me. So that's why I chose to do that.